Because you guys are all cyberneticians, so I will start from my last slide instead of from first. The last slide is a review of the last time we covered a little bit in the evolution of science meeting. Different perspectives bring us new possibility. So my summary of this different type of sciences is in this framework. Science 1.0 deals with the cosmos, earth, nature, physics, chemistry, biology, and subhuman beings. And as soon as you enter into humanity, you enter into psychology and sociology, you are in the area of science too. Individuals with individualism developed, and interests shared groups as the second layer. They have the same purpose like stockholders, and the non-conflicting social groups they may have different interests, but non-conflicting. And then on this level, things can be worked on with a good number of methodologies. And there are next level I would tentatively call science 3.0. Went beyond the second level. It becomes the gaming opponents competing for resources and domination. That's the reality out there. And for the fourth level, that is the conflict of a value system, conflict of a mission, conflict of a vision. And here we have rivals gaming with no shared rule of a game. So anything goes here. And that's, for me, this framework of this four level of rationality thinking is very real out there. That's what I called, I defined a real word in my email. It says real means people bleeding and people crying. So for this four layers, I think we can classify it like the first one is observer independent. We can achieve a certain level of objectivity. And second level is observer dependent, completely dependent. But here, facilitators still effective. It's like you can play a role that help the process. At the third level, facilitator become ineffective. You need to play games. So strategic thinking effective. And then the last level, strategists won't be so effective. And here maybe something we call mighty power will come into play. So that's my general framework, and this is my last slide. Okay, next to the last, I'm trying to introduce you this toolbox. The difference, the toolbox is here is my WINTOP project, and the big difference is that from 2002 to 2009, this is actually implemented in China to various organizations and get paid. I mean, it's not paid by a school salary or university salary. It's paid by clients after their evaluation that this stuff really works for them and useful to them. So talking about a practical reason, I am going to introduce this toolbox to you. And it has many layers, so I can only open certain limited portion of it. So here are two examples. A real estate building company based on Tianjin but they have multiple projects in multiple cities. Before they took our training, their revenue is 170 million RMB. And after 1 year after our training, we did a half-year training on them, 7 modules, and their revenue grows to 700 million. So this is the real-world example one. Another real example, a wine manufacturer company. They had a very bad cooperative culture before we intervened. And they're running on a one-man show style of a big boss kind of management. And then they learned collective decision-making and the participatory management. The whole team got a boost up. And their business efficiency improved so much that the owner even built a church. Can you believe? He built a church in his mountain to acknowledge the importance of culture. So that is the, by the way, we charge 300,000 RMB for the whole project for half year. And that is equivalent about US dollar 47,619 dollars. And this is for the work of 2 trainers working together with them for half a year. So it's very modest income, but it actually made us sustainable, and we survived in those years. So that is my second slide. Going back one, here are some comments we actually received from the user, not from ourselves, but from a user. WINTOP facilitation methods are so advanced and so practical at the same time. Even the best MBA program in China, such as, well, this is China-Europe International Business School. Even that school cannot offer this course yet. Easy to learn and easy to use. This is actual comment. I am shocked after taking this training course for its immediate usefulness. The results are far beyond my expectation. First, it is practical. Second, it is easy to master and use. The decisions from the group consensus can be implemented thoroughly in our work. Next one, creative and practical. This method builds up collective wisdom and reaches group consensus. Next one, your course helped our group decision process and increased our group productivity. Last one, the facilitation methods encourage everyone in a group to contribute ideas and eventually reach consensus to get substantial meeting results. Everyone is able to express his or her own opinion and to participate in the decision-making process in a meeting. So my next slide, going back, these are some pictures of we actually doing the session, but this doesn't count as my slide. I already sent you guys a small video clip about 2 minutes. Yeah, 2.5 minutes that has more vivid images. My next slide is this example. This comes from the communication module. The reason I need to highlight it here is that we just had some communication accident in our email group. So that is exactly a vivid case. So I think if ever we had learned this kind of, well, if not a training, if we had this kind of a lesson before, that could be avoided. This is so-called 7 principle of communicatics. Communicatics is my extension of cybernetics into the communication area. Number 1, communication is not optional, but a must for our social being due to the existence of double blindness of our cognitive system. I use double blindness here to including both the limit of our sensory organs and our internal blind spot. The second one is the meaning of your message will always be reconstructed by the other side. For example, the meaning of Lou's message will be always reconstructed by us to make sense.
Or I suppose you mean a meaning of your message will always be reconstructed.
Yeah, but which brain, every brain reconstructed for itself. So number 3 is cognitive inertia exists. I borrow this initial concept from Newton. Existing anyone's brain, including yours. And the number 4, limited consensus or cognitive intersection. Intersection here is the mathematical term. Emerge as a result of effective communication. In other words, if your communication is not effective, you will not have this intersection emerging. So number 5 is the context of the other side and their social style must be taken into account. And a lot of us without this training will ignore, will be not aware of the importance of this. And number 6 is what Mike Lizak was trying to say during the email argument, email debate. Communicator must use the language of the other side and estimate their reconstructed capability. And the last one is Elliott GX's 16 cognitive stages introduced, and to highlight a limit of the possibility of effectiveness of communication. I won't go into detail there, but there is a limit, just like Ashby's law, that you cannot go past. Okay, so that is so-called the 7 principle. But that was not, that's just one of the thing you pick up. And then another thing you pick up in the toolbox is the 5 gaps you have to jump over. We use the 5 fingers to have people memorize them. Finger number 1, social style. Social style is a simplified version of Myers-Briggs type indicator, simplified into 4 categories. So we run a survey and a session to make everybody identify their own social style and also their co-occurs social style. So they suddenly realize that I am one of the 4 styles and there are people falling into other 3 kinds of styles. So you have at least 3 ways to output your information when you are aware of the differences. And also the second gap is that people have different vision and perspective. You have to respect that. And the third gap is the cultural context, and which is a larger, more subtle and more rich influence here. And also you have self-interests, of course, and you have a different standpoint and a viewpoint. So this is the so-called 5 gap. Why we have a 7 principle 5 gap? In fact, the whole communication module, in the 2 days course, and it got summarized, this organized in 1, 2, 3 into 10. And 1 means 1 big knowledge. And so-called 1 big knowledge is what we call constructivism or second-order cybernetics ideas here, all related, all condensed into B. Actually, it's W here. It's wrong. Okay, BBW, Ron. And this so-called big knowledge is to make everybody aware and being convinced that I am biased always, and I am blind cognitively always, and I might be wrong. So everything ASC people or colleagues talking about all condensed into the foundation of knowledge that we tell them, convince them in the first 2 hours. So they are. So Jamie, you used that with Wittgenstein, duck, and rabbit, and we had the whole class of different kind of images similar to that duck. That duck is still too abstract. We have more vivid images and video clips, etc. So within 2 hours, we kind of duck feed them this big knowledge. So they have to, after the whole session, they have to always keep reminding themselves this one big knowledge. And then things start from that background. We teach them methods. We call 2 birds listening, 2 gems asking. 2 birds means parrot and bats. Now, parrots listening is what they call in organizational development field called active listening. Basically, you parrot whatever you heard to make sure you heard it right. You hear it, okay. So that is the first bird. And the bat is another kind of a device. The bat sending out a signal and listen to the response. So during your listening, you listen, but you send out a very short signal like a bat, only for the purpose to detect the right position of the other side. So that's 2 bird listening. That's what we teach them how to listen each other by these 2 birds. And when they start asking questions, we introduce 2 gems, platinum and the diamond, because in both culture we have a golden rule. So golden rule is, everybody knows what golden rule is. Now we have a platinum rule, better than gold, and we have diamond rule, much better than before. These 2 kinds of asking teach them to ask questions from a self-responsible way. What can I do for you? That sort of thing. So 2 types of questions get practiced with each other. So suddenly they start hearing more of what others are talking about instead of just boasting for themselves. Now, 3 has also have 2 elements, 3 kind of sounds and 3 talks. Okay, 3 sounds. What are 3 sounds? We teach them in the classroom. The first sound is oh, oh, and the second one is oh, and the third one is aha. So we have everybody practice this. Whenever you hear something conflicting with your belief, something you don't understand, or something even offensive, you need to hold your temper and hold your immediate reaction. You need to pronounce oh. That means I'm hearing something that I need to figure out more. Okay, oh, and then you encourage the other side to elaborate until you feel that oh, there you're starting getting it. So the second sound is oh, And of course, the third side is, aha, I know what you mean. That is a successful listening. So that's three sounds. You see, we teach them this kind of thing in the class, having them do practice with each other. What are three talks I just mentioned? At the beginning, we run a social style testing. So it's a simplified Myers-Briggs testing. So they all realized that their colleagues have different social style other than themselves. So they are tasked to rephrase their presentation for other three styles which are different from them. So three talks. You have 1 point, but you need to put it in 3 ways to talk. Now, 4 is 4 levels of group discussion. That is what we inherited, licensed from ICA, Institute of Cultural Affairs. It's a very powerful method they develop for group discussion. 4 level, simply put, is the first level is about what. What I have heard Lois talking, what I have heard Lou talking, what I have heard Jamie talking. The whole group only share what I heard. So that's the collective effort to put all the fact right first. So at this level, nobody is allowed to talk about other emotions, blah, blah, but have to talk about facts. So very quickly, you go around the room. You had all the facts mutually complemented with each other. And the second level is about gut. So what, gut, so what, now what, 4 level. The gut level is your feeling and your association and your kind of something, your imagination right wide when you hear the speaker saying something. So that also needs to be shared by the group. So after this round of sharing, people are feeling all together and all participatory together. And the third round, the rational thinking clicking. So what? So I think, I explain, I feel. Okay, you already talked about what you fear in the second level. So this level, everybody focus on what they think, stimulated by the speaker. And the last level is what we do. So it's called so what. So what? So after today's session, so what? What are you going to do next? So the group will going through this 4-level conversation. The group can start working together very effectively instead of talking passive with each other. Now, 5 gaps I already covered. It's just 5 fingers to make people realize there's always 5 gaps between you and your listener. So you need to take care more about how you jump out these 5 gaps. Now, 6 directional thinking. We borrowed it. We borrowed it. Actually, we reworked it from Edward de Bono's very famous scheme called 6 thinking hats. So de Bono used 6 different color hats to prompt the group participants. Each time they should thinking in the same color hat. And we simplified that into 6 directional. 6 directional, there is a term in Chinese called 六合, which means front, back, left, right, up, and bottom. So we teach them, we convert the Bono's idea into this 6 direction to help our user that at any moment, you always have 6 direction to move. So each direction define a different kind of thinking style that I have no time to get into detail, but anyway, it helps you to think more comprehensively and more aware of the total situation. Uh, no matter you call it, lawyer call it complicated or complex, the six directional helped a lot for them to swim through this complexity. Now, seven principles communicates I already told you, and the 8 steps of a conflict resolution is a standard conflict resolution course. It's just to offer you a step whenever an argument getting fierce, getting severe, then you kick into this mode and you do the first steps for the second step, and hopefully it offer you a much better chance to resolve the conflict. And 9 diagrams to make your point. Uh, both of you already used the various kinds of diagrams during this presentation, so I don't need to talk more about that. Basically, we collected 9 very effective diagram or modeling, if you can call it, methods in this toolbox, so they can pick up whichever they learn to draw them, and some of them have computer software to help them, like things like mind mapping and etc. Now, the last one, 10-step fierce conversation, is the most powerful and the most, like the keyword, fierce. It's not political correct, but it's hitting the center of the target and extreme frank. And there is the author there's an author write this book and have a very detailed steps there. So we get the permission from her and to use this 10-step as part of this communication toolbox. Now, I still have one more to go. Everything I just covered is on this module 201, based, no, module 200, facilitator for communication tools. That was covered in 2 days, 7 hours per day. It's not just a lecture, it has group discussion, games, experiential learning processes designed in the course. So that is everything I just said is one module. It belongs to one module. So, and the whole toolbox, you see, the first one is called igniting the bonfire of teamwork. That was, there's no textbook for this one, but interviews, and we have we call it my shoebox session in the evening. Every participant bring his or her shoebox that contains the most cherished memories of their life so far. So in that session, everybody open their shoebox and tell their own story to the whole team. And very effectively, in the first session, get everybody hooked in Jamie's word, hooked, and everybody is emotionally trust building together. So from 200 to the last one, 210 course numbers, everyone has one book, one textbook that we edited for them. So this is the whole toolbox. You can see the next one to the communication is basic facilitation skills for managers. And then quality consensus workshop is a special method. We use a big cloth, which we call sticky wall. Sticky wall, and all the participants can input their ideas and concepts and their concerns on a half sheet card, so that they can put on the wall and move around. And that tool is very important because it created a collective thinking space. And I think Stuart had done that with ASC some years ago when Hans was still there. And Stuart remembered that Hans was so excited walking at back of the classroom and say, fantastic, fantastic. He said he think that Hans would never sing this kind of a thing. But Stuart had did one session for that consensus workshop for ASC. And then we have a participatory continuous improvement and action planning. Action planning is for the company or the group want to do one thing, so it's called one action. And for their daily routines, there is a continuous improvement, a quality improvement element built in, but can participatorily, not just ordered by my manager. And next one is participatory strategic planning. It's the whole process that the whole group will go through. And normally at this stage, they will cover a real issue of their company, like what they are going to do in the next 5 years, things like that. And then we have one without classroom, but without a class, but it's assigned the group as their homework because the whole duration was 6 months. So between every 2 modules, there were 1 month, and during that 1 month, they got their homework assignment. So that is about facilitating systemic coaching for excellence. The last one, conclusion part, is action learning projects and the learning organization. So at this point, the whole corporate culture is renovated to a different stage. So each of this module, we have their manual or textbook, and we have the class handouts, and we have a training preparation checklist for the trainers, and we have a trainer delivery script in every 15 minutes. What needs to be done in the classroom is designed. Of course, it will be refined case by case. I mean, each company is different, but there is a skeleton there for you to modify. And of course, every classroom session we have PowerPoint slides, and we have video clips, and even movies. We used at least 2 movies. One movie is The Lord of Flies, showing them that the group of children in an island, how they survive, how they organize themselves, and how their conflict leads to what kind of result. Another movie we use, actually 3 movies. Another movie we use is a problem-solving movie named The Phoenix. An airplane named Phoenix was crashed in a desert, and everybody's going to die. But they eventually figured out a way to work together as a team and save themselves. And also we used the movie 12 Angry Men, about the jury making decision of the case. And we also include a number of actual games, like you can see from the video clip. So I will stop here.